For 6 episodes, we've been asking questions. Solomon spent an entire lifetime looking for the answers. He had more money than we'll ever have, more pleasure, more knowledge, more success, more influence, more women, more projects. If anyone could satisfy the human heart, it was Solomon. And at the end of his life, he wrote a journal. We call it Ecclesiastes. In the book of Ecclesiastes, there is a word that most English Bibles translate hevel. But hevel has been translated into English as vanity, meaningless, futility. But in the ancient Hebrew, hevel literally means a vapor, a breath, a mist. It doesn't mean worthless. Temporary is what it means. Elusive. You can see it. You can't hold it. Life is real, but impossible to control. Have you ever tried grabbing smoke? That's hevel. That's life. Attention is our attempt to grab smoke. We think, if I could just get enough followers, or if I could just buy this, or if I just stay busy, or if I find that perfect job or get that promotion, if I quiet my mind, then life will finally settle. Ecclesiastes says, no. You're trying to hold vapor. Remember in episode 164 where we said there has to be more than this? Yes, Ecclesiastes agrees. In episode 165, when we said we can't sit still, why? because silence forces us to confront Hevel. In episode 166, wonder dies because familiarity tricks us into thinking we understand everything. And episode 167, about being more connected than ever, but alone. I consider that connection without communion. Thousands of friends. Very few people who actually know us. In the last episode, 168, the mind never stops talking. No, 168.9 was the last episode. But 168, the mind never stops talking because we're trying to solve problems that were never ours to control. You know, there are ancient texts, and even specifically related to Scripture, there are wisdom books. And in the wisdom books, they never promise control. The wisdom books teach skillful learning inside mystery. Job. You cannot explain suffering. Proverbs basically says wisdom usually works. Ecclesiastes says sometimes it doesn't. Song of Songs says love is a gift. But together, they tell one story. Life cannot be mastered. It must be received. Those who have ears, let them hear. Life cannot be mastered. It must be received. Then Solomon suddenly says, fear God and keep his commandments. Wait. How do we get there? See, after chasing every possible source of meaning, pleasure, work, wealth, wisdom, achievement, status, knowledge, power, Solomon ends where the Bible begins. Relationship with God. Not because God removes the mystery, because only God can stand outside it. So Ecclesiastes leaves us asking, who can actually overcome Hevel? Who can bring permanence into vapor? Who can defeat death itself? Then John's gospel opens. In the beginning, not by accident, John is answering Genesis and Ecclesiastes. Jesus doesn't simply teach wisdom. He is wisdom. He doesn't merely talk about life. He says, I am the life. He doesn't simply talk about truth. He says, I am the truth. He doesn't merely point toward God. He says, I and the Father are one. Ecclesiastes says, everyone dies. Jesus dies. Ecclesiastes says, death wins. Jesus rises. Ecclesiastes says, everything under the sun fades. Jesus opens life beyond the sun. Ecclesiastes is a story of life under the sun. Christ reveals life beyond the sun. You ask, is there more? Why can't we sit still? Why have we lost wonder? Why are we lonely? Why won't our minds stop? Why does ancient wisdom still speak? Ecclesiastes answers, because everything under the sun is hovel. Christ answers, I have come that they may have life, not merely survival. Life. Not because circumstances stop changing, because your attention finally found someone who doesn't. Maybe that's what attention has been all along, not merely focusing harder, not learning another productivity system, not escaping the noise. Attention is learning to fix our eyes on the one who is eternal while everything else passes away. Everything under the sun is vapor. But Christ is not. And perhaps that is why our hearts have always whispered, there has to be more to this.